Welcome to Three Furlongs Out on the Line. We're joined this evening by Noel and Kevin O'Ryan. He's a well-known face in the Irish racing circuits. He rode over 70 winners as an amateur jockey, and we're used to seeing him every night on the TV now talking. How are you doing, Kevin?
Good, Darren, and yourself?
Very well. Kevin, you're a man of many talents. I don't know how many hours. How do you get so many hours in the day to fit them jobs? Is it right? You're a race. You're a jockey's agent. You're a golf horse and training agent. You have a pre-training yard, and you probably work in Tesco's part time as well, do you?
Well, I was trying to look for a job in Tesco's there over the last few weeks because obviously racing was stopped, so all my jobs were stopped as well. And pre-training side of things always gets quiet this time of year anyway because we break a lot of yearlings and that. And they're obviously gone back into the yards and that. So we always get quiet on that side of things this time of year. So basically, I have been creosoting, painting, and power washing, trimming, and cutting grass over the lockdown period.
It wouldn't be our norm anyway to have any free time, would it?
No, definitely not. It's actually probably, would you believe, it's probably first time I've had a break since I left school, and I'm 42 now, so it's a long time since I was in school, but just mad to get back going again now, and full of energy and enthusiasm, and hopefully we kick off Monday week.
Yes. And what jockeys do you have under your agency at the minute? What names do you have?
We've got a good few of them. Got a great team of lads. I hate mentioning them all. We'll run through them all because I'll surely leave out somebody. But we've got Declan McDonough. We've got Chris Hayes. We've got Billy Lee. We've got Gary Carroll. Sean Davis has obviously come back for the season. We've got Gary Halpin, Lee Roach, Conor Hoban, and plenty of apprentices. Ben Cohn, Shane Cross, Andy Slattery, obviously Oisin Orr, who's not an apprentice anymore. Donogh O'Connor and Mikey Sheehy, Dylan Brown McMonigal, and obviously Gary Halpin I've touched on as well. I hope I'm mentioning all the boys. Apologies if I missed out one or two. That's the flat team, and of course then we've got Lee Roach as well, and we've got Davy Russell and Jack Kennedy over jumps. So they're the only two jump jockeys to look after.
Jeez, you have an awful lot of people to keep happy. How do you manage to do it?
Look, I have a great bunch of lads, and it's easy to sell them as well. They're good lads, and I won't take on somebody that I can't stand over myself. To be fair, got a couple of £10 claimers as well. My nephew Hugh Horgan and Liam Brown as well as with Nick Halford. I always look to take on a couple every year, but I have to stand over them. I have to have faith in those. They have to be able to ride. And secondly, they have to be good lads as well. I'm friends with all the lads I have, and I'd be shocked if anybody's told you different. They can ring me about Robbie Downey's obviously with me as well. He's back in Ireland, as we know. And but the lads can ring me about anything. Nathan Cross, obviously, as well. I told you I'd end up forgetting somebody. Nathan is obviously, he done really well last year, Nathan. I think he'll have a good year this year. And he's based in Willie McCreary on the Curragh. But the lads can ring me about anything. They'd ring there, we'd have a chat. Might need me about racing. And they know they can ring me about basically anything, whatever advice I can give them or whatever else. And I'd meet the boys out from time to time. And, we all get on well, to be fair. And the lads, to be fair to them, if they're not riding, they know it's not from the want to trying. And I think, there's no preference. Everybody gets 100%. And Chris Hayes on to you last night. Obviously, Chris is with me, obviously, as well. We mentioned Chris earlier on. But, there's no preferential treatment. Everybody gets a fair crack at the whip. If there's a spare ride going, they all get offered. And let the trainer then make up their own decision. I think that's the fairest way. I think I've been doing it. Would I be doing it 16, 17 years?
Yes.
Probably now at this stage. And I think I might have had one jockey sack me, and that was it, really, to be fair. So that's not a bad record, to be fair. And look, if the lads want to go to England or anything like that, or want to, I'll always try and get them a job in England as well. Like, Richard Fahey, we've Sean Davis, obviously, myself and my brother got him the job there. And, young Sean Curran, I got him into Richard Spencer originally. Jamie Moriarty going back in the day as well, got him over to Richard Fahey. So, any of the lads who are looking to go to England, and we'll always try and help them as much as we can to get them into a good place.
Well, like Irish racing as such is a very small community. It's not a very, it's all very tightly knitted. I suppose as you get to know everyone within the group, they all know you and what you're like. There's no hiding place in Irish racing as such, is there?
No, and rightly so. Irish racing is the most competitive racing in the world, and be under no illusion to that. And you know, we're world leaders in it, and there's very few things that Irish people are world leaders in. And the horse industry, we are world leaders in. No matter where you go around the world, you will have Irish people in top positions in every aspect of the industry, both racing right down to the breeding side of it. And look, we turnover. There's nearly 29,000 people employed in this industry alone. It's rural based, and we create over 2 million every year for the Exchequer. And it's a wonderful life, and it gives you great opportunities if you're willing to work and get stuck in. You can, and it's so open. The world is such a small place now. You can go anywhere in the world, and there's so many opportunities. It's a brilliant way of life. You have to work hard. Nothing is easy. And that's the same in any industry or any walk of life. And if you're willing to work, you can get great opportunities throughout this industry, which is one of the great things about it, I think.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing. And someone says, just keep the head down, and hopefully opportunity will come knocking. And you have a fantastic base in racing TV. What was it like to get that spot when they took over the racing TV coverage? That they've all the chance of faces, and you got the job. It was a fantastic opportunity for you as a position, wasn't it?
Look, Darren, I was very look. The way I look at it is, I've been a very lucky fella from word go, and people ask me that I got some of the schools around, like, so it's transition years, and they get some of the different lads from the industry to go in around, because obviously I'm 10, 15 minutes off the Curragh, so right in the heart of it, really. And obviously a lot of the schools around will get some of us to go in to transition years and all. And when they ask me what do I do for a living, I say I make a living out of my hobby. And anybody working in the industry, we all get into it for the love of the horse. Initially, we all grow up wanting to be. I always wanted to be a flat jockey when I was a kid. I wanted to ride Derby winners up the Curragh. I wanted to be like Cash Asmussen and Steve Thomas.
You might do it yet. I wouldn't rule you out of it yet.
No. I put on quite a good bit of weight. I knew when I got to around 13 or 14 years of age that wasn't going to happen. But we all get into it for the love of the game. Obviously, you want to be jockeys, or you want to breed a big winner, or you want to own a big winner, or you want to train a big winner, or whatever. You want to look after a big winner if you're working in the yard or whatever like that. And we all get into it for the love of it. And there's a lot of people working in different jobs and different industries that they don't really like what they're doing, and they're just working from week to week. But with us, as I say, I'm very privileged and honoured to be making a living out of my hobby, which has given me and my family some great opportunities. And it's a great way of life. And just like people ask me this, how did I get into racing TV? How did I get into At the Races? And how I got into At the Races was Dave Keena, who's, Dave Keena. He's a journalist, fellow jockey's agent. And he rang me one day to see would I do. He was doing a bit of work for the local radio station, KFM, and he couldn't do it. So he said, "Would I do it?" He put me in for it. So I said, "My motto is always say yeah, and then think
worry about it later.
Never say no. Never turn down a day's work. No. The day might come, you mightn't get it." And so anyway, that's how it all started. And I started working for KFM, local radio station, covering Punchestown, the Curragh and that. And Gary O'Brien, who I didn't know, when the At the Races started up, Gary Lyons was on with him, actually, would you believe, at the Curragh. It was only, say, the first 2 weeks of it or something like that. So I went over, introduced myself. So Gary, if you ever want jockey's agents to come on, which is a guest or something, sure, I'd love to do it. Give me a shout. Jeez, anyway, Gary rang me, 3 days later, and see what I'd do. Listowel with him one day. So I absolutely thought, this now, why did I do this?
Why it seems good.
I'm working on a local radio station, nobody can see you. And obviously there's only a small audience. And so anyway, 3 or 4 times now I had Gary O'Brien's number up on my phone and this is a true story. to say, right, no, Gary, I'm not going to do this. So anyway, the rest is history. I went down, I done one of the days in the stall, and on the way home, they rang me to see what I do the next day. So that's how it all started. I had no training, as you know, I'm well able to talk. So, and just kind of made it up as I went along, basically, after that. And we had great years at the race. And then when Racing TV took over the coverage, I was delighted, both myself and Gary, and honoured that they wanted us part of it. And both teams are absolutely brilliant to work for, and I'm just glad that I'm a part of it. I don't find it work at all. I just enjoy it, and I don't find that.
Don't tell them that, but it's very hard work.
Oh, very hard work. Yeah, very, very hard.
You have
But
to come and drink.
I enjoy, like, I know all the characters in it, and I like kind of showcasing as many of the small characters as possible. Small trainers, small owners, or whatever, and I think it gives it a good mix. And like, if I'm sitting at home watching a sport that I'm not that familiar with, I look to see who the characters are and listen to those. So I find that very interesting. So that's basically the way I do it, is from my aspect. Well, if I'm sitting at home, I want to see who X, Y, and Z look like, and then you go, oh, that's who they are. Oh yeah, now I know who they are. You put the name to the face, and you can relate to them then, basically, do you know, from a punter's point of view, sitting at home.
It's an awful lot. This year, I think that the champion jockey title is very, very open this year. And I think it's more open than the betting suggests. Who would you tip to be champion jockey this year?
Well, I hope it's one of my lads. Colin King's obviously going to be very hard to beat, but
I think Chris Hayes is too modest. I think that he's a bigger chance than what he thinks himself this year. Fuzzy stacks an awful lot of good horses. Kevin Pendergast, I think when you become champion jockey, in my opinion, you stop taking the wee rides that made you a champion jockey, because you're going for class over quality more. Do you not think that would be the case, that a weird jockey come up? No.
I've had I've had 14 champion jockeys and 9 champion apprentices, and I always go back to Pat Smullen and Joseph O'Brien. Obviously, I looked after the two guys, and Joseph was champion twice, champion apprentice twice, champion jockey twice, and Pat Smullen was 10 times champion jockey. I've also had Declan McDonough as well, was champion jockey, which I got a great thrill out of. He's not without a chance either, Declan, this year too, I think. And but no, Pat Smullen and Joseph O'Brien were prime examples that, and I don't believe that, because the two boys wanted to have 6 rides every night or 7 rides every night at Ballinrobe of a Monday, or Sligo of a Monday, after riding, say, the Guineas weekend. I think there used to be a Ballinrobe meeting or a Sligo meeting after the Guineas weekend, and they wanted to win every race. And say 47 to 65, they'd get beaten it, and it was always a standing joke. If Pat Smullen and Joseph O'Brien were riding in the last race, one of them would be on the phone to me, and the other one then would ring call waiting to go through their rides. And if they got beaten at 47 to 65, which you would think to jockeys at that stage of their career, they wouldn't really.
They wouldn't be looking at.
They'd be kicking. They'd be driving them mad. What did I do wrong? Or if I'm going to do this the next day or whatever like that, you know. Johnny Murtagh was the same. Mick Kinnan was the same. Obviously, then as time progressed, Johnny was different because of obviously his weight. But the reason those lads are champion jockey, it's the same with Davy Russell, that they don't take their eye off the ball. They want to win. That's what makes them so good. And
they wouldn't be where they're at. I suppose it's the will to win. Anyone can win, but it's the will to win. They're determined. They're not normally human beings. They've more will than anyone. But it's a massive achievement. I think this year it's far more open than anyone. Colin King, he obviously is. He's the man to beat. But there's an awful lot that are underrated and different rides, especially this season. I don't think would be like any other. In my opinion, I think this season could be very much like the year that Leicester won the Premier League. That the season just totally up the left, and someone totally out of the blue could come up. And like Billy Lee, I think the likes of that jockey, he's always there or thereabouts, but he's never just. It could be a year that the top 3 mightn't get a look in. Someone could just totally slip the net. I think the world's upside down at the minute. I think that. It's an understatement even saying that it's upside down at the minute. I think that the norm, in my opinion, I think someone could just snip in this year and just changed his game all for one season anyway, just not the norm. It's hard to know, but as you said, Colin Keane, he's phenomenal. He's I mean, Pat Smullen, as you say, he's the daddy of them all. But Colin Keane he probably has as much faith in him as Pat Smullen has, and he's still an awful lot. He's still a lot to give, doesn't he?
Oh, of course he does, and going back to that's why they're all champion jockeys, because that will to win, that determination, that drive. It's like Ruby, it's like Davy Russell over jumps. And that's what sets them apart from. They've got the whole package basically. Do you know what I mean? You see, and it's the same with footballers. It's the same with any different sports or disciplines. You might be the most naturally talented individual, but if you don't have the whole package, it's a waste of time, really. And we could sit here for 2 hours, for 2 days, going on about all the different sports, who the most naturally talented individuals were, but they weren't necessarily the most successful, for the simple reason is they didn't have the whole package. And I do agree with you. I think this year could be very different. And obviously we're going to have a lot of racing. We're going to catch up. We have a lot of double meetings as well. And there's going to be lots of opportunities for everybody. And I just think Billy Lee, he's one of the best riders in Ireland and England. There's no doubt about it. I'm biased, obviously, when it comes to Billy, but Billy's weight is his issue. And that's the problem as well with so many of these lads. And to be champion jockey, I know Joseph was champion and Donica was champion. They were doing 9 stone. But you need to be ideally a bit lighter to be champion jockey. You need to be kind of doing 8.11s or 8.10s every day of the week as well, or every day of the week. While the likes of Billy, he's a tall chap, he works very hard on his weight. Doesn't do it that often. We try and like 8.12 he might do once or twice a week maybe. But then the other side of the coin is this year as well, for the foreseeable future, like the weights have been risen 2 pounds. So that brings Billy Lee into more opportunities. Do you know what I mean? So
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think at the minute everyone just wants to go racing, and I think the jockeys over here will get a taste of what it's like in England with the double meetings and all. There'll be a lot more on demand. Like for the fixtures in June and July alone, they're very demanding. What their normal jockeys over here, what is it usually? A Monday, Thursday, Friday. We have only a small calendar over here, realistic to England, and it's going to give them a real taste now of what England is like on a daily basis, really, isn't it? It's going to be an awful lot of racing.
Oh, definitely. And, obviously this time of year, there's racing every day of the week. Obviously during the winter, we've only obviously with the jumpers, like we've only 1 day of flat racing, but we normally say 3 days a week for the jump racing. But during the summer, we're racing all the time. And this is obviously our busy time of the year. We do have a couple of double meetings, not as many as, say, we used to do. But I think in the first month of June, I think we could have 6 double meetings, 6 or 8 double meetings, flat meetings. So that gives the smaller lads a chance as well to get going and make new contacts as well. You know what I mean? And get in with new yards as well. So I think there's great opportunities. Like I've some wonderful riders, and hopefully it'll be one of mine. I set out every year I want to win every day of the week. And I've been lucky enough to do it on numerous occasions, go through the card. I want to do that every day of the week. I know it doesn't happen all the time.
No, but you have to.
But you have to have that drive and hunger about you. And so that's what I set out every year, is to have a champion apprentice, a champion jockey. And I've been lucky to have 2 of them on quite a few occasions. Haven't had a champion jockey now the last couple of years, but
you're slipping up.
Yeah, I'm slipping up, exactly. Well, I had Davy Russell over jumps as well, which was brilliant to have a champion jockey over jumps, because I never had Davy. Davy just approached me out of the blue, and I've had some great times with Davy, and that was a great achievement as well, to be a part of Davy Russell being champion jockey.
Davy's just phenomenal, isn't he? Like,
he's wonderful. He's a brilliant rider, and he's as tough as teak. And he going back to, they've just got that drive and that hunger, and I mean this in the greatest way. To be a champion, you have to have a little bit of madness about you as well. That little bit of a want.
Well, all the greats in any trade, they've always, like, you think of any musician, and they're never just straightforward. They've always a kink about them, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
that just sets them apart. That's what sets them apart. That's just
like
sets them apart.
McCoy, like in any methodology, you wouldn't say McCoy was straightforward. He wanted to win more than anything, and I think you sacrifice more in your own life to get the winning. Like the amount of things through the years he would have had to sacrifice of his own personal life to get to where he is, and it's. I suppose that's the difference in being a champion and not, is giving it your all and having no bit of time for yourself, having no, just going there. That's all it's about, isn't it? But as you
Yeah,
say,
it
if
is.
you don't give it all, don't give anything.
Well, that's it, and it's like anything you do. If all you can do is give it 100%, and do your best, and always trying to strive to improve. It's an old cliche, but it's a very true cliche, and it's something that I live by every day. Every day is a school day. You learn something new till the day you die,
Yeah,
and you have to have that mentality and that attitude. And I think to be very successful as well, you have to be selfish in certain extents, and I think that sets those great people and those champions in any discipline
yeah.
apart. I love reading and watching bios about biographies and that about different sports people, not just different sports people, but all the different uh, leaders of, say, Microsoft, or Michael
It's not a
O'Leary.
massive difference in anything, is it? It all entwines into one, realistically. A leader is a leader, like, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, without doubt. And I love reading about those people, those really successful people, and see why they're so successful. Do you know what I mean? They're obviously very, very intelligent people, but they've
Or,
got that.
or you could look at very, very lucky people, just the right place. Like, I think success can only get you so far, but as you said, in your, even where you are today, like, you took a chance, didn't you? You have to be a chancer, and you have to, to get the further on in life, sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time. Someone else doesn't want it, and it just builds from there. Like, you see people college for years, everything, and get nowhere, and then someone comes along that doesn't go to college and just makes it. It's, as you say, I think you can never stop learning, and that's just the bottom line of it, isn't it?
Without doubt. And look, a lot like education is very important. I'm a big advocate of education. Like, I done the leaving cert. Only for my mother, I wouldn't have done the leaving cert. I wanted to go to Lean Brown as an apprentice. But when you're that age, you're not thinking further down
No,
the line.
no.
And I went to ag college, but you can be academically the most cleverest person in the world, but then when you try to go make a living, do you know what I'm trying to say? You mightn't be a streetwise or that. So it's a mix of both, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Education is so important, and that's one thing about our industry, that there's so many people who left school very early that have turned out to be hugely successful people in it. And you know, you can't become an accountant, for argument's sake, if you don't finish your leaving cert and go and study accountancy.
Yeah.
But you can become a successful trainer, have a successful stud farm, be a successful jockey. You can, you don't have to have all these qualifications. So, and I think a lot of things with luck as well. You make your own luck as well, to be fair. You get the opportunities, and it's all about then, if you get the opportunities, take them with both hands and give it 110%. Try and make the most out of it, basically.
Well, you don't know how many chances you get at these things, really, do you? So you have to
Well,
take
that's
every
it.
chance. Kevin, I'm going to leave it there, and thank you very much for your time, and get back to your million jobs. You're probably, what do you have to do tonight? Stack the shelves. What else? You, God knows what you'll be at tonight. You just
I've
wouldn't
absolutely
know.
nothing to do tonight. It's my wife's birthday tonight, so we're getting a takeaway, and we're going to sit outside and eat it there. Weather's lovely, but yeah, I've nothing to do at the moment. I'm finished painting and everything like that, so I'm just looking forward to getting my jockey's rides, and please God, being on racing TV in the not too distant future. Roll on Monday week.
Thank you, Kevin.
Cheers, Darren. Pleasure.
Sponsored by Tips from the Stables.